All right, what is up, Macomb? My name is Matt. It's that time of day, Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. C4 Sports is in the building. Talking the best in sports. We're getting the second half and your weekend ready. We can continue the tagline from last semester. Getting your weekend ready for all your sports needs. My name's Matt, at LManMatt93 on Twitter.
I'm Ryan Mason, at Mason_ILChiefs.
I'm Adam Feiner, at NobodyFeiner.
And it's your homie Darius Hawkins at the_Hawk_13.
I know you're feeling a little sick, Darius, so we'll carry you this week. We'll carry you.
A little under the weather, but I'm here still for the people. Got to represent properly.
So before we get into our sports talk, of course, we'll do the WIU sports schedule. We're doing our duty to the campus, though really everything is away because spring break is this weekend. I don't think we have one home game on here. But if you do want to keep up with Western sports, you can follow along online, and some of these games, specifically baseball and softball, will be on the radio. Baseball is at Indiana State starting on Friday, March 7th. That's in Terre Haute, Indiana. That's how you pronounce it, I believe? Terre Haute? Okay. My fault. My bad. I can't even read my own.
No. How did you pronounce
it? I pronounced the T. Terre Haute, because it's Haute.
Okay. Chicagoans.
Yeah. that's at 2 p.m. Softball is at Oklahoma and Norman, Oklahoma at 4:30 p.m. Then we go to Saturday, March 8th. That's women's tennis is at Milwaukee, which is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, at 10 a.m. Baseball is at Indiana State. That's at 1 p.m. Softball is at Tulsa, still in Norman, Oklahoma, at 1:30 p.m. Men's tennis is playing at Wisconsin and Madison at 2 p.m. And then Sunday, we have men's tennis is at Green Bay, which is at 10 a.m. Baseball, you guys are still at Indiana State. That's 12 p.m. as well. Women's basketball will play their quarterfinal game. They don't know the opponent yet, as far as I know. That is the Summit League Tournament quarterfinal in South Dakota at South Dakota State. That is 12 p.m. Softball will be at Oklahoma, once again at 12:30. And men's basketball is at South Dakota State as well, and that's 8:30. That's the first Summit League game they will be playing. They're the 6th seed. And South Dakota State is the 3 seed, I believe. So we're going to go ahead and jump into that real quick with some Western basketball. They finished up their season on senior night, which was a 75-70 victory. Adam Link and Michael Ocharobia were recognized on senior night. Ocharobia decided to have his first ever career double-double that night. He had 23 points and 10 rebounds. The Jaguars battled back after a 13-0 run by Western in the second half. But Western actually made our free throws for once to seal the game. That's the first time all season we have heard that, the Leathernecks making their free throws. WIU is now 10-19 and 4-10 in Summit League play. Sandifer and Covington both finished with 15-plus points. Sandifer at 15 and Covington at 18. Western, like I said, is the 6th seed. They will play 3 seed South Dakota State at 8:30 on Sunday, and that's the opening round game for the Summit League tournament. And just a side note, Garrett Covington was named the Freshman of the Year for the Summit League by Sports Madness, I believe. What are your guys' first thoughts on the season? Second, what are you looking forward to heading into Summit League play for this year?
Summit League play, this for the off season or tournament?
Tournament first.
Tournament?
We'll go let's hope and pray we can win this game.
Yeah, let's hope we can beat South Dakota State. I mean, we beat them in the 6th fan, so might as well just add insult to injury and beat them and dash our hopes of making the postseason and at least ending the season on a high note instead of disappointment like it seems like it's been all season long.
I would say, end that on a high note. I mean, get some eyebrows raised, pull an upset. I think they have the athleticism to do it. You saw Ocharobia get his first double-double, and he had a monster game. He's got the size, he's got the smarts to do that. And Sandifer and Covington had good games, so we'll see. I think people around the nation are maybe seeing South Dakota State last year in the tournament played Michigan, so maybe they're expecting South Dakota State to represent the Summit League again, so we'll see if Western can make a name for themselves.
Well, reflection on the season, the team here sucked, and I already gave y'all solution the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to do it again. Let's see. They already lost to South Dakota State both times during the season. They're going to lose again this time. I went to the last game they played versus IUPUI. I really wasn't impressed. Like, whoop-de-doo, they won a game, which they should have lost, And IUPUI, I was actually rooting for them during the game, sitting on the home side because I like, cause a confrontation. So during the game, IUPUI had a point guard, number 1. His name was Kufu Naji, some left-hand dude. And I'm left-handed, so I love the left-handers. And he was scoring the ball. He got hurt for a minute. He came back in, started scoring again. They started hitting threes down the stretch. So I'm standing up, making a little and one sign. People around me, I do that on purpose just to make people upset, which, that's a whole different conversation. But, yeah, they won the game. Ocherobia, it's about time, I guess he did something with that size. He made, 4th team All-Summit League, which makes no sense because the games I saw, I wouldn't even pick him up in a pickup game, but whatever, man. I don't know who it is that's voting on these ball players. I swear some of these dudes did not play. They haven't played real basketball before. Like whatever school, they must have went to country schools. Like from urban areas, you don't play basketball.
Ocherobio,
like
I believe, is from.
Yeah, London. He's from England, and that's another big. You can't find no big black dudes from England. Like you can't. Like they should have went to Russia and got them a Pekovic or something, or a Krzyzlak or something. Somebody with a crazy name that's just strong and fights bears his whole life. That's who they should have had. Whatever, man. They're gonna lose this.
Sorry,
game.
Ocherobia did not go through the bear fighting training program.
Yeah, he didn't. He skipped that one.
4th team all summer.
Yeah, he got 4th team.
How do you even have that?
How do they go to 4th team?
Exactly.
Is it kind of like the whole participation award?
Yeah, where all the kids get a trophy. Yeah.
I've never heard.
Well, I believe it was Sports Madness who did this. I've never heard of Sports Madness before.
Well, that name fits them with the award. Sports Madness. That's a proper name there.
But Covington did get Freshman of the Year. Do you believe that was deserved despite no bear training or bear fighting background?
No, Covington is actually the only player that I have a little. Well, Sandifer I respect a little bit, but Covington I like the way he plays because as me and my friends and people from around how I talk say it, he likes to pull. And so we like people that's going to shoot jumpers and pull up during the game. All that passing ain't really too good for my eyes. So I'm happy. He deserves the honor. So I think that's actually a legit one. Then again, I ain't seen any other freshmen in the conference. So, it's not like I know. But from what I've seen, him and Sandifer, those two can build together for, these next, 3 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's a well-deserved honor.
I also think so. I think you were right on when you said he likes to pull.
Yeah.
I've watched a couple games, and he'll do the occasional heat check. He'll hit about 2 in a row, and he'll come down and launch a 30-footer just to see if he can hit it. But you did say it's positive. It maybe get some fan interest going with him and Sandifer for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hopefully. I think the future is bright. When we previewed the season in the beginning, I thought with just all the senior leadership last year, it was going to be a down year because you just didn't have that balance, and you only have 2 upperclassmen or 2 seniors, and I think you need a little bit more than that. This ain't a Kentucky school in which your freshmen are going to be awesome, even though they were this year. But you need to have bigger leadership, and having those young players play big minutes is going to help next year. And the sky's the limit. I'm not going to say right now that they're going to make the tournament next year.
I'm about to say they're 2 starting big men this year, both seniors, so they're going to be going too.
Yeah, so I think next year will be a lot better.
I hope so because we need scoring. Hopefully, Covington and Sandifer seem to be our 2 most consistent scorers this year. Hopefully, they can help out in that department next year as they add more maturity, like you said, and kind of just develop into players because it looks like they're going to be 4-year starters because I don't see either of them deciding to leave for the NBA. Probably nobody in the Summit League is ready for that. So I think we're ready now. We're ready for Sunday's tournament game, as ready as we'll ever be. Are you guys looking forward to the game? And possibly, I say possibly, I'm going to try and stay optimistic for this upcoming off season.
I'm not for sure. I didn't see the recruiting class of what is coming into Western, so I think it'll depend on that, and maybe they'll take C4 Sports suggestions and do open tryouts.
One thing to keep an eye on is not the recruits really, but Waste Management Court is getting a facelift this year, so that's what I'm looking forward to.
I actually agree with you 100%, Adam. That might be like the biggest highlight of the offseason. And also, I understand that, you got to have sponsors and everything, but it's kind of not good if the court you play on is called Waste Management. and because your team is kind of a waste the way you're playing too. Like, I mean, if we're gonna be optimistic, we could at least come up with a better name. But I guess this school does whatever it tries to do. I don't really know.
They got to get their money somehow.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know where that money going because it ain't to this internet.
That is very true. So let's kick it over to Adam real quick. An update on the baseball team. You are our inside source this year.
I am. We're at Indiana State this upcoming weekend. Now they're 9-1, so that's kind of got us optimistic a little bit because we've been playing these schools and we're trying to get it figured out, and everybody's kind of middle of the pack. We've underachieved so far as record, but we're definitely getting there. We were much more competitive in Evansville, and this is the spring break trip. This will tell us a lot of kind of where that off-season work has been put into. Because after Indiana State, we go to Louisville, which is a top 10 program.
Yeah.
And a little tidbit on that, my dad and Louisville's stud freshman pitcher went to high school together.
Huh.
So, just a weird story there. So that'll tell us a lot. We pulled an upset against Arkansas last year. We'll see if we can do that against Louisville this year. And then next weekend we'll be in Bloomington, Normal, at Illinois State for a 3-game series, I want to say. So keep up with us over spring break. I know I definitely will be. I won't be traveling, but I'll definitely be cheering my fellow teammates on.
I believe the games are on the Dog. They will be on the radio, so you can listen online to all those games at 883thedog.com. Same, if you're listening online, it's the same website. If you're interested, go ahead and listen to all those games. I believe they are being carried on the radio because I know Jeff Martis sent out a little thing. If you are a broadcasting major, be sure to get to Jeff if you're going to be here to board up those games. There you go, Jeff. A little help, a little advertisement for that. I will not be here, but I'll try. I'm going to try and listen to them on the Dog. Maybe if I'm just chilling around the house, I could hear what you guys are up to.
Yep. I'm definitely going to check it out. So, and also today, just a little tidbit, there was a Baseball America article written on one of our pitchers. So, he's got some scouts sniffing around him. Possibly, I want to say he got a 3rd-round grade at the beginning of this year. So, he's had a good year so far. His velocity's been good. Breaking stuff's been good. So
we could possibly have a professional in
absolutely.
Our midst here at school.
Yeah, we did last year, actually. Our
really?
closer.
Oh,
our
I did not know
closer
that.
is with the Anaheim Angels Florida League team. So, Leathernecks going to the MLB, definitely a possibility.
That would be a lot of fun to see. I mean, if the White Sox took him, I would be like, hey, that kid, know him right there when I go to their games over the summer. That's kind of what I like to do. Like, even here, like, there's somebody from Naperville here. I'm like, hey, that kid, I know them right there.
You gotta represent your area.
Yeah. Darius knows what's up right there.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I try and do. But thank you for the inside scoop there, Adam. Every week we do have, if you're a Leatherneck baseball fan, we have the inside scoop for you right here on C4 Sports. I think we don't have much football talk, but the one story we did kind of want to cover, going off what we've been talking about recently, is what happened to Clemson football. I think, Darius, you have the story. You brought it up. Do you want to describe it for our listeners real quick, and we'll talk about it?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I'll give credit to Ryan, because if he didn't say it
Ryan.
Ryan actually brought it up because I didn't know anything about it, so go ahead.
The story was, I got the story switched around in the beginning, but Clemson Tigers has suspended 4 of their players for the first game next season, which is a big game because they play Georgia, and usually both teams are ranked in the top 10, top 15. I don't know how great they're going to be this next year. So with that being said, spring football hasn't even happened. I don't even know if they do workouts right now. They won't. They said team violation by what Darius found out. How bad does it have to be if you're getting suspended before spring football?
These are 4 starters too. I just looked
4
at it right
starters,
here.
and thank goodness it's only one game, but that one game could get you out of the national. Since it's changing,
the
playoffs, it could get you out of the playoffs real quick, especially if you're going to lose to Georgia, who usually has a great team.
This could be real big for them. I'm glad you said that one game can be an implication, because that's what we've seen from college football. Even though we're not in the BCS era, we're out of just the top 2, but to the top 4, it's still a big deal. Like, one loss could be all it takes. Or in this case, I think it might be one win, because I don't think a loss to Georgia would necessarily hurt you, because they are a very good team, and nobody's going to be like, oh, they lost to Georgia. That's not something that's going to come up as a key loss, but it could be a key win that you could put on your resume if you want to try and make a playoff system, I guess, a playoff spot. And I think that's kind of what could be bad for them, is losing 4 starters could cost you a key win. A loss doesn't hurt too much, but I think the chance at not getting a win is very big in the current college football system.
Yeah. And I think they were saying that their top recruits coming in might have to play that first game. So that's even harder to put that on a true freshman.
Yeah.
Normally those 2 programs would be top 10, but I kind of like to look at the draft and look who they're losing. I mean, Georgia's losing Aaron Murray, possibly one of the greatest to ever play in the SEC. Clemson's losing Taj Boyd, who I think is going to be a decent NFL quarterback if he gets the shot, and Sammy Watkins, the dynamic wide receiver. So I don't think they'll be up there, but it's definitely a problem.
Could they compete for a BCS Bowl, you think?
I think... See, it's hard because it'll be harder for Clemson playing in the ACC.
Yeah.
Georgia's definitely got that SEC vibe where I think...
Even without Aaron Murray. That's kind of what I'm worried about.
Their backup was pretty good when Murray was out at the end of the season.
Oh, that is true.
He still played pretty good. I can't think of his name right now.
No.
But I remember him, forget which team he was playing, but he looked pretty
he
good. He looked
him.
rusty. I mean, you could tell that he really didn't play much with Aaron Murray starting.
No, we'll see. I think Georgia can afford 2 losses and Clemson 1, but I don't see it happening for either team, but it could hurt the teams. I mean, they've both been very successful over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I don't really see either team coming into the season without this problem, being a national title contender. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you're just playing for, a championship, and if you don't get that, then you all second place. So, neither one of them will go win it regardless in my eyes, so I really don't care too much.
But I guess going back to the issue we've kind of been talking about, do you think, we said, was there an image issue in the NFL? And we said, I guess our answer was kind of yes as a whole a little bit. Do you think the same thing applies in college football? Because this is a little bit different, seeing as they are student athletes. Mm-hmm. But looking at some of these big schools like a Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, BCS type schools, do you think they have an image problem, or is it just, I don't know, being overblown by the media, or just a college kid thing, like a Johnny Manziel type stereotype?
I think it is a little overblown. NCAA has a whole different problems. They don't have the power to subpoena. That was the whole problem with Manziel. And the rules are stupid. Because this last week, there was a little trouble that Ohio State might be in trouble because he was having lunch with Tim Tebow, and one of the recruits called Urban Meyer, and he gave his phone over to Tim Tebow, and they said he talked for a couple seconds and said hi and a lot of stuff, but the rules are that unless you're on the staff, you cannot do any recruiting. So they might be in violation because Tim Tebow is not part of the
Ohio.
That's
ridiculous. Yeah, and I can't stand Ohio State.
And that's what I'm thinking. I want then what is it when you have people come back that's been your players and you can't say anything? I mean, NCAA has so many problems. That's why I think down the future you're going to see NCAA teams, the big teams, leave and say, see NCAA, we're going to make our own rules. I think there needs to be a little bit of guidance, but some of these rules are ridiculous.
Yeah, we covered that a lot first semester. We had the whole show to that one.
I definitely agree. You touched on it. I think with these guys, getting in trouble, going out to the bars or something, that's not really a problem. They're college kids. They're going to make...
the NCAA would like that to be a problem.
Yeah. Well, of course. But you touched on it. I think there may be a recruiting problem. I mean, you're seeing all these big programs after, maybe a decade of success, they're going to have these whispers of recruiting violations. But the NCAA is nitpicking. I mean, they make all these stupid little rules in subsection A, Z. I mean, it's just ridiculous. They find every little reason for a program to get in trouble. And it's not helping the NCAA either.
Yeah, because they're punishing the small schools and the big schools get by it like it's nothing.
Right. I mean, it can destroy a small school program, but the USCs and the Oregons, they can fight through it.
Yeah, the NCAA has an image problem. I won't say it's the athletes; it's just the system overall.
I think that's a good statement too. I kind of agree. Basically, what all you guys said, you said pretty much kind of the same thing. I think that's kind of the overwhelming opinion of C4. That's a C4 concurrence, I guess, is what we're gonna call it. As it is, I think it falls on the NCAA. It's an outdated system that I think is just being pretty greedy. For them, it's all about the money and not so much the kids. I think that's the overwhelming kind of inference you can take away from that.
I'd like to have an interview with not our head football coach, but one of our coaches, and say, what are the rules? And I want, because the whole Tim Tebow thing just mind-boggled that it was a story of a violation. I feel sorry for the coaches having to read all these rules and try to follow them, because there are so many. Oh, yeah.
I remember when my brother was being recruited for college football, I went on some of the visits, and there was a limit on how much food they could give us and when, because if they gave us food at this time and not this time, it was a violation. If they gave us too much food, it was a violation because they spent too much money, and they could pay for this but could not pay for this. It was really confusing. I don't know how my mother planned that. So, Mom, if you're listening, shout out to you for all that, but I mean, just seeing even that, and that's not even the Ohio States or stuff like that, is pretty crazy. I can't even imagine what that's like.
It's unreal. It's out of control, basically. The NCAA's gotten way too powerful.
You know what coaches should do then? What you should do is spend that money and take the kid to a buffet. That way, you can't give them too much food, and you're just paying a certain amount. See, you got to know how to get around the system. See, people not thinking. That's all you got to do.
You can maneuver.
You have to regulate how much food a recruit gets.
See that's crazy. I'm not with that.
Oh my! I'm just it boggles my. It just really boggles my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's come down to a point where, especially social media, has gotten kids into a lot of trouble, especially where there are teams now that say their players can't have any social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. I mean, to have to do that because of the NCAA rules is kind of, I think, ridiculous. Like, one, as a player, you should kind of know, like, okay, if I post this picture of me at a party under 21, that could be bad.
Right.
But, it's just like some of the stuff they say, if they like criticize an opponent or the system or something like that, I guess would be free speech. They're saying you can't really do that, or they can't do something that they want. I think that I understand why they would do it regardless of the NCAA rules, but I think a lot of coaches feel pressure from the NCAA to do that when they really shouldn't. So I think that is a little ridiculous, just a little bit, I think. Or am I wrong about that?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. It's just the day we live in. I mean, when these rules were made, they weren't even thinking of Twitter or Facebook, and now they have to deal with
an outdated system.
It was a straight interview to media and to reporters, and then when it would become national news. Now, just a little. And Facebook and Twitter are so subjective that unless you add an LOL at the end, they might take it serious, and you're just joking. So, and I've had that problem because, like, I guess when I'm joking, I have to add LOL or ha 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 at the end, so you can realize that it's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to that point, I think, in our society even, where it is like that, and it carries over. It's exemplified by sports, especially if you're on a big stage like a BCS school. So I think that's all we got for right now for football. Like we said, it was a slow day.
Yeah, it was a slow week. Come on, Goodell, you need to step up the controversies, or somebody step up the controversies.
We need Johnny Manziel just to do something before the draft.
Or like have Jerry Jones say something stupid.
I mean, other than there hasn't even been any big free agent moves or anything. There's been a little bit of contract talk,
hasn't it? It's just about ready to start.
Yeah, I think it started.
Yeah, because they just finished up with franchise tags.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't get franchise tags because you have ones that they stay with you.
Yeah.
So you can stay with the team, and then you have the optional ones that if somebody matches, they can leave. And
it's hard to follow. It's very hard to follow.
Very hard to follow.
But still, what we got on the show coming up, we got NCAA basketball, a little pre-conference tournament preview since the conference tournaments will start over spring break. And sadly, we are not on over spring break, so this time Wednesday we will not be on. It'll probably just be Audio Vault playing some music. But the week after that, we'll be on for basically it's going to be a college basketball NCAA March Madness preview show. We will have our brackets filled out. We'll do a little competition here at C4 Sports, see which one of us can win the tournament, hopefully win Warren Buffett's $1 billion, I believe it is.
I think we should make an agreement right now. If one of us wins, we split it equally. That's what we should do.
Right.
Equally?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, fair.
That's fine.
Right.
That's fine. I mean, I'm down with that.
All right. Cool. Just making sure we're on the same page.
So yeah, we got college basketball conference tournament talk coming up, as well as some NBA talk. We got Sixers. We got, of course, LeBron and Durant, seeing as that's pretty much all that's relevant right now in the NBA this year. But I think the majority of our show, what we got left, is going to be NHL talk, because this is one of the craziest trade deadlines I can remember since I've been following the NHL for a while now. So we got a lot more coming up on C4 Sports. Don't touch that dial, because it's 88.3 The Dog.
Okay, so just type the job website address here. That's it. Then you enter what job you're looking for there.
Electrician.
This is Peter. Recently, he got help going on the internet for the first time to look for a new job.
Okay, then you just hit search and...
In the past, Peter's gotten work through people he knew, but he heard there were more jobs online.
there we go.
These are all for me?
Uh-huh.
Really?
He had no idea just how many.
I can't believe it. This one looks good.
Peter is thinking the internet might be for him after all.
And this is just one website.
Wow. Why didn't I do this sooner?
See what the internet can help you do at everyoneon.org or call 1-855-387-9166 to find a free training class near you. Brought to you by Connect to Compete and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back to C4 Sports. Right now, we're going to go ahead and kick it over to some college basketball talk, some conference tournament talk right here, since that will start up at, I believe, when does it start? End of the week, I think?
Some start
this weekend?
Yeah, some start Thursday. The big one probably this weekend, I think, is the Missouri Valley with Wichita State.
Yeah.
Seeing if they'll go undefeated into the big tournament, or if they'll lose.
Yeah.
And if they lose, do they drop down to a two seed automatically? Next week is usually the big ones that start up, like the power conferences.
Because I think this week's kind of the opposite of last week's show, where we had a ton to talk about last week. This week we only have the NHL trade deadline to talk about. So we couldn't get to Wichita State last week. We'll touch on them real quick right here. What do you guys think about them going undefeated through the regular season? Everybody, of course, is going to harp on their strength of schedule, but they did go undefeated. That means they didn't even mess up once, because you see a lot of these teams, you can have one bad game here or there. They didn't even have one. They were able to go undefeated throughout their whole schedule. They were a Final Four team last year. So what are your guys' thoughts on the Shockers before conference tournament play starts?
I think you hit it on that. Final Four last year. And I think that's where everybody is just dismissing them. They're saying conference schedule and all that stuff. They beat St. Louis, and St. Louis has lost the last couple games, so their ranking's going to drop to they've lost to no-name teams, but they're in a powerful A10, I think, St. Louis is. Yeah. But still, you go from Final Four, then you go undefeated. You really don't lose much. You actually gain more experience, and I like Wichita State, and I'm happy that I am going to see them in St. Louis here in a couple weeks, and I'm excited to see them live. I had some friends go over to Bradley when they played at Bradley this last week and a half, and they said it's a team to recognize, but you'll see them probably the round of 32 when they actually probably face a power conference team, even though it might be an 8 or 9 seed. You're gonna see them. You're gonna see what they are that week. But I'm expecting good things. I like seeing the small schools, and I think this is different. It's different from a Butler. You're going undefeated. I think it says a lot, no matter what your conferences are, because you should have a let-up game. Everybody loses, they say. It's hard to go undefeated. Last time it's ever been done was Indiana with Bob Knight. So I think it says a lot about them, and I'm happy to. I'm not going to say they're going to win it all. I have to wait till the bracket comes out. But I'm expecting at least an Elite Eight and hopefully a Final Four because it would be awesome for them to go back to back like Butler.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I find it funny that everybody was saying last year when they made their run that, I mean, this is going to be their only year. They're the Cinderella, and then they're going to go back to their little conference and just, be average, maybe make the tournament again. No, this team was actually built to make another run. I don't know if they lost that left-handed point guard, Armstead, last year, and I believe that's it. Their point guard this year, Van Vliet, Rockford kid.
Yep.
Want to give that guy a little shout-out, Freeport guy. He came and played at Freeport, lit the pretzels up. He was the player of the year this year in the Missouri Valley. So this team's no joke. I think if they get the 1 seed, and I think they deserve it. I think so many people have this opinion of, well, I mean, just because they're from the little conference, they shouldn't get a 1 seed. Really? I mean, you talked about it. Everybody has that letdown game where you'll lose to a conference opponent, especially going to conference opponents, no matter where it is. I mean, you see it in the Big Ten a lot. They just beat up on each other, and normally that happens. But Greg Marshall's got his team ready to play, and I think he should win Coach of the Year, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm going to ride basically off what you said. Usually when you play in conference play, it's almost like it's different than, there's other teams because you all know each other. So even it's really like records are kind of thrown out, and it's more about just really how the game goes. And, I mean, it's not like it's too many great teams in the Valley, Missouri Valley Conference, but Indiana State is 21-9. And they beat them, so that might be the only team that might give them a challenge.
Isn't Creighton?
No,
Creighton's in the. Yeah, they moved.
Oh, okay.
They moved to the
Big East.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Did you see if Doug McDermott and Creighton were in Missouri Valley this year,
I mean,
they would have been better off.
I mean, the only team that's probably going to end up that could give them maybe a run, maybe for their money in the tournament is Indiana State. And so if you beat them, you undefeated in the tournament. You undefeated going into the big dance, and I feel like they should get the number 1 overall seed. I don't like that whole strength of schedule thing because, I mean, it's not like you can necessarily determine who you play. You got to, whoever on your schedule, you got to go out and beat them. And they've beat everybody. Anytime that you go undefeated, I feel like you should be, recognized properly. So they're undefeated. Give them the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I'm going to break up Matt talking here for a second.
No, you're good.
With the whole realignment, I would love to see Wichita State, if they can keep this up, go down into the Big 12. They're in the same area, would force Kansas to play them because Kansas has said no year after year when they want to play each other in Kansas City at the Sprint Center. Kansas City and Bill Self has opted out on it because they don't want to play them at all. Now we see why. I'd love to see them go there because they can play a lot better than TCU, who's in there right now. I would love to see that realignment happen quick. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I would love to see Wichita State move out of the Missouri Valley quick.
Yeah, I'm happy to see a lot of littler schools like this kind of come up through the ranks. We saw, obviously, Butler as well as VCU ever since they made the Final Four.
Shaka Smart, what up, boy?
Yeah, they haven't got back to the Final Four, but they've been consistently good, ranked preseason rankings. So they're a program on the rise. Now we see Wichita State will kind of join them. Also, teams like a Creighton as well, guys like that. Even Illinois State is starting to improve their program. They had a couple good years. So I'm a fan of that. I like the realignment. I like that the landscape of college basketball is always changing. And that you brought up Fred VanVleet. He was one of my favorite players from college basketball this year. He won the Missouri Valley Player of the Year award. I think I got his numbers right here. Let me see. No, I don't got his stats with me. They were looking at McDermott, who won it in 2012. So, they compared him to McDermott because they're the only 2 sophomores to ever win the Missouri Valley Player of the Year award. Ironically enough, named after Larry Bird. You were just talking about Indiana State when he led Indiana State to the 79 championship game and lost to Magic in the Michigan State team. But I've seen this kid play a few times in some of their games. I believe they had 2 games on national TV, I think.
Yeah, their last regular season one against Missouri
Yeah, I
State
saw that
was
one.
televised.
And I think they had one more I want to say I saw on ESPN
Bradley,
before that.
maybe. No,
I don't think it was Bradley. I think they had
I want to say they did broadcast the Bradley game, but I want to say they maybe had the St. Louis game.
I think it was the St. Louis game is what I saw, and this kid completely tore it up. He reminded me a lot of kind of like a Russell Westbrook, almost a Derrick Rose a little bit. He can shoot the ball really well. His passing looked real good, and he is just absolutely deadly on the fast break. He was weaving in between people, making the right decisions with the ball. I'm a big fan of him. He plays the way I like to see kind of my players, especially my point guard play, where you can score and pass and still make the right decision and take smart shots. And I was impressed with his maturity. He's only a sophomore.
Which surprises you because
I thought he was like a junior or senior.
Yeah, he plays a lot older than he actually is.
And I saw their coach interviewed a few days ago on ESPN, and that's what he talked about is just good decision-making with the ball. They run sprints almost like a Roy Williams team, how Roy Williams always wants to get up and down the court real fast, always be a fast break. Their philosophy is they're going to outrun you, and I love watching. It's a lot of fun to watch, and there hasn't been a team in the country yet to keep up with them. And I think, should they be a number 1 seed or not? I know a lot of my friends who are at BCS schools say no. I say yes, because you went undefeated, like I said earlier.
You have friends, they're saying no.
Yeah, they go to BCS schools.
Even if they go undefeated through the conference tournament. I don't know who
just because their strength of schedule, they say they didn't play anybody.
Yeah, because they probably feel they're not the best team.
Yeah, they're not. And I understand where some people are coming from because look at Gonzaga last year.
I mean, they're undefeated now, and they're not the number 1 seed.
Gonzaga lost to Wichita State in the second round, and I think that's where people are being hesitant. Do we want to give these teams that have small strength of schedules high seeds, and then they lose out because they're hoping that they go a little bit further to increase the ratings? I'm okay with them even if they lose their – I don't know how the Missouri Valley – I don't know how many teams are actually in it. I don't know if they have only 8. If they lose their quarterfinal match to an 8 seed, I don't care. They've lost one game. They should get – I'm not saying number 1 overall.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they should at least get a number 1 seed. They might get the 4th seed no matter what because there's other teams that are better than them, but they deserve a number 1 seed.
Yeah, I agree. They should be. I think they should be number 1 in the country right now, and they definitely deserve a number 1 seed because they haven't messed up yet all year. They haven't made a mistake yet, and kind of like you said, you can't really control who you play. I mean, I know the coaches can schedule certain teams, but you have to play the teams you play in your conference. Like you said, Kansas has refused to play them, so you don't have too much control, especially when you are a small school. You kind of have to wait for the big fish to come to you.
Or you get invited to one of those little
preseason
tournaments, and those are hard.
Yeah.
They'll start getting invites now, but that's still another year out because they've already made those schedules up. So I think it'll take a couple years to realize what's going on.
And I mean, I think you got to respect them. They haven't just beat a lot of these teams; they have dominated a lot of the teams they have played. So I think that kind of can make up for their strength of schedules. Maybe a victory margin, if you could look at that number, that might be able to help prove the point. But ultimately, I think they aren't getting enough respect because so many BCS schools, or I don't want to say BCS, but like Big Ten schools or a Big 12 ACC, say they haven't played anybody. But I mean, they are undefeated. You got to respect that. Not too many schools can do that. Like you said before, Butler, they made the Final Four and the championship game, and they were far from undefeated.
If Butler won, there would be a different. There hasn't been a non-BCS team win in a while. I can't tell you the last time a non-BCS.
I think it was before college basketball got popular.
Well, Valna was
real popular.
North
Carolina State.
Yeah. I can't tell you last time. I might have to look up the last non-BCS.
The last I can think of is what, Larry Bird, and they didn't even win.
They didn't win.
Magic won.
I mean, Villanova won it as the lowest ranked team ever as an 8 seed, but they were in the Big East.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the biggest underdog that's ever won.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy. So, if Wichita State can pull something off like this, you might be looking at the most influential team in college basketball history. I think hold
on. Do we count UNLV as a BCS school?
No.
Okay, well, then they're probably the last one there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they beat Duke, and then the next year they went undefeated and then lost to Duke.
Okay.
Something like that, yeah.
Because that was what,
That's Greg Anthony, Larry Johnson, so that's like 91.
Yeah.
91, 92.
Yeah. So that was,
Yeah, Jerry Tarkanian was the head coach.
So, yeah, this will be real interesting to watch. I'm going to try and watch some Missouri Valley Conference games for the first time. I've said that since I can remember.
I don't know what I know the early games are on Fox Sports Midwest.
We don't get that.
Yeah, but you're going back
not
home.
about that.
But I know I know CBS will pick up at least the championship game on Sundays,
All right.
maybe one of the semifinals, especially if Wichita
Yeah.
State's playing in one of those. I think they'll probably pick up one of those.
I really want to see them play. Like I said, I've really only seen them twice, other than that Final Four game last year. So hopefully we get to watch them back home, because what we got is Comcast Sportsnet Chicago. That's what we got.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's just like Bulls, Blackhawks, and White Sox,
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
1990 was the last time. Was UNLV was
Okay.
1990. So 23
Yeah.
23 years.
And even then, I think UNLV, I would say, is a much bigger school than a Wichita State.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't had anybody kind of like this. Would UNLV be considered a mid-major?
I guess. Because what conference are they in? I don't even know what conference they're in.
Mountain West or
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Mountain West. I still think.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess you could say yes to that. But I think they're one of the bigger mid-majors. And I think Wichita State, until this year, I mean, I didn't even really hear of them until they kind of made the Final Four last year.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And
But
if you want to go from either before that, would be 1966 with Texas Western, which they made a movie about with yeah.
Don Haskins.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So, and that shows you how many teams that were that great. I mean, these teams might have been small, like a Marquette one a year that I saw. UNLV was probably still small, and there's probably, like, Villanova's probably small. We're thinking Big East now, but they could have been in a different conference.
Yeah, they could have. That's kind of what I was thinking. I'm glad
Yeah.
you said that. I think moving on from Wichita State, let's look at the big boys right now, the Big Ten, Big East, ACC. I'm kind of interested in the ACC. Surprisingly, Virginia won the regular season title. I was not
And
expecting that
they
at all.
jumped 7 spots in
Yeah.
the rankings.
They're ranked fifth in the country right now.
Out of the conference tournaments, besides Big Ten, because I'm a Big Ten fan, I'm really interested in the ACC because
It's kind of wide open.
it
in a
is
way.
wide open. Because you have, even though Syracuse has slipped, I still think they could be a contender.
Last 4 out of 5.
Yeah, Virginia is unbelievable right now, and I would love to see them scoop
Under
up.
the
And
radar.
if they win the conference tournament, I could see them going to the 1 seed. North Carolina has won 12 straight, and they were looking dead at the beginning of the ACC season because they started 1-4, if I can remember right. And then you have Duke, who's always a powerhouse. I think ACC, thank goodness I don't have classes during next week, because that is probably one of the conferences I am going to watch. That and
yeah.
SEC.
SEC
just to see Kentucky lose.
I think really for me, it's all about the ACC, and I know you said you weren't going to say it because you're a fan, but the Big Ten. The Big Ten's going to be the best one, I think.
I'm going to say ACC. ACC conference tournament will be better because we've seen Big Ten beat up on each other. There's a couple teams that
But now it means something, though. Now it kind of means something.
I'm gonna say it's probably going to be a Michigan, Wisconsin final. Wisconsin's won 7 straight. Nobody else in the Big Ten that can say that, even though they've struggled. I'm going to say you're going to...
What about Michigan State, though? I know they're still not fully healthy, but...
I saw them play
might
against my team, and they looked horrible. Even though they had Dawson
I watched
back for the first time, I still think they can be a Final Four team.
Yeah.
Especially when Dawson gets back and ready because his hand's still hurting. I think it'll take another week. Maybe this week you'll see something different. But I'm going to say it's either Wisconsin's or Michigan's to lose.
Because, I watched that Michigan State thing. It's actually my buddy Mark Darius knows all about this. But he was here over the weekend from Michigan State, and we had the game on in our middle room because we got that suite, and he just had to walk out.
Why didn't you tell me? I would have came over
I'm sorry, Ryan.
with all my orange on and just...
Yeah, because my roommate's a big Illinois fan, and he just was like, do you want to talk about it, Mark? And Mark was just like, no, Frost, just no. But so it was hard to watch for him. But I'm personally pretty excited for the Big Ten tournament just because my Wolverines did win the regular season title, which was a lot of fun to watch. He was coming out of last year, making the championship game and losing Trey Burke and Tim Hardaway Jr. I was a little worried about this year, but Nick Stauskas stepped up. A lot of guys stepped up too.
He could not miss last night against
Illinois. Yeah, it came against. I'm sorry, Ryan. I am sorry about that.
I was in the car and I was listening to it, and if I was watching the TV, I would just be like rolling my eyes and turning it off.
I do have to say, though, I am a little worried for Michigan, not just in the conference tournament, but the NCAA tournament, specifically with Stauskas, because if you kind of face guard him and you go over and you hedge these screens really hard, his shot struggles. Like, he needs some space to shoot because he is a smaller guy. And once their three-point shots have not fallen, they get into trouble. That's how they've lost a lot of games, is they get out of rhythm behind.
If it wasn't for their threes, they would have. Well, they would have probably won, but not as 30.
Oh, yeah. But that's a problem with the Wolverines, is if they cannot shoot the three ball well, they really struggle. They almost, I don't want to say 2005 Illinois live and die with the three, but they depend on the three ball a little bit more than I would like with the team they have.
I think so too. I think Michigan's downfall, I think, will eventually be Glenn Robinson III. He has had a horrible sophomore season, I think. You were seeing guys maybe project him to be top 5 pick this year in the draft, and he's kind of fighting to get back in the first round now. I do like what LeVert has done. He's really elevated his game as a sophomore. He's that kind of slashing. He reminds me a little of Oladipo.
Yeah.
The way he can kind of
He crashes the boards well when you get those long three-point rebounds. Yeah, that's what I've noticed.
He's just a really athletic guard that can kind of do it all. I honestly think it's Wisconsin's Big Ten tournament to lose. And I'm biased saying it, but they've been close so many times now. And actually, for being a younger team compared to normal Wisconsin teams, they're experienced. I mean, Brust has been he's a senior now. Kaminsky's been in 2 Big Ten tournaments now. I think you're going to see a lively Wisconsin team, someone that's motivated, someone that wants a 2 seed badly. Because I think the 6 seeds this year could be tough in the tournament. I don't think you want to be a 3 seed and playing a tough 6 seed in the second round. As far as the ACC, wide open. I have no clue what is going to happen. I mean, last I looked, Duke was losing to Wake Forest tonight. I haven't seen enough of Virginia. I do like their coach, Tony Bennett. I want to say the son of Dick Bennett, which I want to say if he coached at Wisconsin, possibly.
I think so.
So good lineage there. They do play tough D. They're the number 1 defense in the nation, so that could keep them in it.
Yeah.
It could keep them in it against Duke and Syracuse.
I'm not going to touch on the Big Ten because I just choose not to. But because all I heard was one thing, and I tuned out everything else. You said, Ryan, Syracuse has a chance. And you said a chance of what exactly?
I still say they have a chance of winning the ACC tournament.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't know what's going to happen.
I just wanted to be clear, make sure we're not talking
I'm not
about
saying.
that.
I'm not
okay.
saying. I know how you feel
I'm about to say.
Coach Boeheim.
Yeah, exactly. His overratedness.
I don't think they're good. I thought when they started, I thought they had a chance to win the championship. Yeah. The whole thing. This, I'm going back. But I still think they have a chance to win the ACC tournament.
I don't know. They lost to what, 2 unranked teams in the ACC already?
Yeah, but they've been flirting with losses all season.
You know why? Because they play that weak zone defense. Because zone is for suckers. If you can't guard your man to man, then sit your butt on the bench. That's why. So they're not going to win anything. And I'm ready for them to lose in the tournament. I just hope that they don't lose too early to mess my bracket up, so I give them $1 billion. But I hope they lose right. But I tell
so you can get our $1 billion.
Yeah, my fault. Our. That's right. Correct me,
$1
please. So I remember to split it when I win it, and it's gonna say C4 Sports on the check. I don't even want my name.
I like that.
Exactly. But y'all gonna have to take a picture of the check because I don't want nobody to know that I got the money. Okay. Then they gonna start calling me, yo, Darius, remember that time when you said? And then it's I don't want any pictures with it. Just give me my money in a quiet little duffel bag while we have a show. That's it.
I mean, that's fine. We'll just be spreading it out right here as we talk some more sports. I mean, that's fine with me. Exactly. You won't hear me complain.
Have to have some security guard for the rest of the semester.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, Darius already does have to walk around with a security guard, apparently, with all his connections.
I kind of, resort to not having security because you can't fully trust them because you don't know where they're from. So that's why I just don't let people know about my dividends that I be stacking up. That's all that is.
So, yeah, before we move on from college basketball, one final question. Player of the Year predictions, because it's been kind of tough this year. We said McDermott for a while, but he's kind of fallen off a little bit. But
the look on your face, Ryan. I wish we had a video camera in here right now.
27 points in a loss, and he's ninth. With
well, that's why
all-time-
the team is slipping. That's why I was watching ESPN earlier, and they had what's their dude from Duke who always comes on and talks.
Jay Williams.
Yeah, he was he kind of criticized them a little bit about 2 days ago.
I'm still going with
McDermott?
McDermott.
Yeah,
And if a freshman wins, I riot because there is no freshman worth it. There's no other player worth it.
I'm about to say, who else is even in the running?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I think it's still his award.
Maybe not. Maybe I can't think of another player that's been good this year, but just overall, he's been shorted.
He's kind of been a one-man team in a way over there too.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're shooting, I mean, why not? I mean, there's other players that have done it. I mean, it was basically Larry Bird and Magic Johnson back in the day.
Yeah.
In the 70s, I mean, it was them. So I'm saying it's McDermott's to lose, and like I said,
Well, do
if
you
a
think,
freshman wins it, I riot.
Do you think the fact that their team isn't that good can help him though? Because he does have the fact that he's kind of carried them all year.
I say they have to make it to the Sweet 16. Then there might be doubt that they'll add another player in there.
Okay.
But I'm I'm still going with McDermott. I'm going to go with the odds-on favorite to win it.
Okay.
If anybody wants to doubt me that, I'll fight you because I'm
Oh,
telling
my
you right
goodness.
now, there's no freshman worth it. There's no freshman worth it
I
at all.
agree.
Yeah.
The closest one might be a Bede, but he's out and he's sitting out for the last 2 games before the conference tournament. So him sitting out kind of shows you that he doesn't deserve it either.
I don't fight me because I'm going with McDermott too. I think he's carried his team basically, and you like to see that as an MVP. I like to look at where would the team be without him, and I don't think Creighton would be on the map in the Big East especially. And I think that will help him too, switching conferences, because the Missouri Valley's good. I mean, it's probably, besides the A-10, probably the best mid-major conference in the country. But moving to the Big East, even though it's not the same, you're still playing Villanova, and he absolutely torched Villanova twice. And Villanova's number 6 right now, so it's McDermott's to lose. Also, you could throw in Van Vliet maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You could throw in Stauskas. It'll be kind of interesting to see who gets number 2.
I'm about to give y'all some real specific educational knowledge right here, okay?
All right.
Listen to this logic. In a coaches poll and in the AP poll, Creighton is ranked 13th. My favorite number is 13. It's 13. My favorite number is 13. I just said 13th, but we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to blame that on me being a little under the weather. So since they're ranked 13th in both polls, and their best player happens to be Doug McDermott, and my favorite number is 13, he just going to win Player of the Year.
Just based off
Listen
that.
to that.
Just basically.
That's real knowledge right there. You can't find stuff like that anywhere else.
All right. I mean, I don't have the same logic as that, but for me, I'm going McDermott just because, like, who else really is there? That's why. I mean, he's played very well, and he deserves to be at the top, but at the same time, he hasn't been like last year where Trey Burke really impressed me, or a few years before that when
Trey Burke would not want it if he didn't go to the Final Four.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't know about that. Because who else would have won? Only other player
McDermott was hot. McDermott's numbers was better last year.
But he was a better player.
Yeah, I'm going with lifetime achievement in
But no, you can't do that. This is an award for an individual year.
Yeah.
And if his numbers are slipped a little bit.
So last year, Doug McDermott was a better player than Trey Burke.
No, Trey Burke was definitely the better
Trey
player.
Burke was
last
the
year.
best player in the country
I think
last
even
year.
without the Final Four run, I'd give Trey Burke the Player of the Year.
And the only other player I saw competing with him was Victor Oladipo.
Yeah. I had for me, I'm glad you said it because remembering last year, I had Oladipo second and McDermott third for Player of the Year last year.
I still thought McDermott was better last year. And you can debate it.
But I guess that's just the way. See, we had 3 guys in the conversation last year. We had anybody you could have given it to those 3. This year, it's pretty much just Doug McDermott, and that's it. So I think that's why you got to give it.
I think
to
his
him.
numbers have gone down ever since his sophomore year. I think. maybe.
Well, that's when
If
I first.
remember.
Yeah, that's when I first heard about him with his sophomore year.
So, and for him just to staying in, and that's why I also want to give it to him because he stayed around.
Yeah.
Well, part of the reason for him staying around might be because he wasn't going to be picked that high anyway. That's why a lot of these dudes stay around. Like, when the last time you see a senior go number 1 in the draft?
No idea.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you stay around, it's because you know you're not making no money on the next stage. So that's why these dudes leave.
So Darius is just dropping education.
Exactly. There's so much going on. Just unfiltered.
Man, since he's so sick, I mean, he's giving us knowledge. And by all the posts I see on Twitter is that he's sleeping through class and all that.
You did
and
not
he has
see
like
it. Oh, my
NBA
goodness.
TV or
The
whatever to watch.
You're putting him on the spot right here.
The blasphemy.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I wish I did have NBA TV because, this school don't hook us up with that either. So, I mean,
we don't have the Wi-Fi to
to
watch
stream
it anyway.
NBA, right? So, I mean,
it was already a pain. I had to stream the Hawks Rangers game in here the other day, and it would freeze every couple seconds. It was brutal. I'm just a dedicated fan, so I had to sit through that. But
I respect
if
that.
it wasn't the Blackhawks, I don't think I could have done it. I would just turned it off.
I respect that 100%.
But so yeah, we had some good conversation about that. Anything anybody wants to add to kind of the college basketball thing? Final thoughts before spring break hits for college basketball?
ACC will be a better tournament than the Big Ten.
There you go.
Michigan State, do something, please.
No. Yeah.
All right, well, there you go. So when we come back on the other side of this break, we're going to have some NBA talk real quick. Just mainly Philadelphia 76ers. We got a couple things for them, both good and bad. And then we have, of course, what I've been waiting to talk about for a while is the NHL trade deadline. A lot to talk about when it comes to that. So keep it right here on 88.3 The Dog. You're listening to C4 Sports.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
When I grow up, I want to be a glass countertop in a new home.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's best birthday present.
When I grow up, I want to be a football stadium.
When I grow up, I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day.
When I grow up, I want to be a fancy
When I grow up,
backsplash.
I want to be a bike that races around the country.
When I grow up, I want to be a bench on a forest
When I grow
trail.
up, I want to be a rocking chair on
When
a
I
sunny
grow up,
porch.
I want to be a skyscraper.
I want to be.
I want to be a.
I want to be a. When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. A public service advertisement brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back to C4 Sports. I just have to play that because I love That's the Fact. That's a bed music option. Let's drop it like it's hot. Oh, you guys, I'm the only one with headphones, but I can still hear it.
I definitely know what's going on because when the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop us like it's hot. That's what you gotta
exactly. So yeah, the fact that was an option made me very happy. What also makes me very happy, and I know it makes you very happy as well, Darius, is we'll start with the good. The 76ers retired the legend Allen Iverson's number this past week. It was a great ceremony. It was probably when it comes to jersey retirements, the biggest kind of ceremony and build-up I've seen when it comes to a specific player, because I haven't seen that much hype around a single player's getting their jersey retired. It was all over the NBA's Instagram and Twitter account. That was all they were talking about that day. So first, we'll get your thoughts on the ceremony if you did happen to see it. Darius, I'm guessing you can go first because this is your boy right here.
I'm about to say, when you said if you did happen to see it, I knew that was for the panel because y'all know I saw it. There's no way I missed it. Saturday night, I went back to my room and somehow, Jesus wanted the internet to work that night. That's why I was able to see it because we know the internet sucks here once again. But yeah, I saw the ceremony. I saw the press conference he did afterwards. Very happy for my guy AI. Like you said, it was very big. The only one I could think of, jersey retirements that was any bigger that I've seen myself is when Michael Jordan retired the first time in '93.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, and they had a Mara Rashada. They actually had a separate stage, it was a Super Bowl halftime. He was standing on it, and they brought out his shoes and all this. I liked some of the people I saw at AI St. Pat Croce, who basically ran the team from the point AI got drafted to the year they made the finals. I saw some bums in the crowd who I'm not going to give shout outs because they're bums. And I mean, he gave them some love in the speech just because they happened to show up, but whatever. I'm happy that he shout out Stephen A. Smith, because that's how I first knew who Stephen A. was way back when, before he got to ESPN. He used to cover the Sixers as a beat writer. But I liked how they had all his All-Star game jerseys, like in an order from when he first made it, 2000 all the way to 2011. They had all the jerseys there framed. They gave him a boat so he can go fishing. Gave him a WWE belt. They say he's the champion of Philadelphia. So it was a nice moment. I know some people were joking at him, talking about he looked like he was Run DMC.
Yeah, I saw that. I was kind of like, that's Allen Iverson when I saw the pictures. I was like, really?
Yeah, but I just happy for him. Really not too much to say. That's my guy. That's blood as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just, happy that he got his day. Just everybody basically focused on him.
I'm definitely glad that he finally got his dues. You kind of compared it to the Michael Jordan retirement thing. You could kind of say that Allen Iverson did as much for the Sixers as Jordan did for the Bulls. Not as far as championship-wise, but, I mean, bringing the attention there. The 76ers were dreadful. I mean, they drafted Iverson with the first pick, so they had to be bad, and he resurrected them. All in about 4 years, they were in the finals with him, so it's good for him. And people giving him crap about the Run DMC look, he deserves to dress however he wants in that city, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, he is Allen Iverson, and it's known he just doesn't care.
Right.
You were saying Sixers were horrible before Allen Iverson got there, right?
And they were horrible. They were horrible when he first got there too.
Yeah. I'm happy to see that finally. I wish his career didn't end like it did.
Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't say he was my favorite player, but he was good. I mean, he could. I would love to see him give him a 10-day contract and let him play a couple games at home, or maybe just a 1-day contract, just to play a final game, because he probably could still play and be better than what they're getting right now. So, and a boat does.
Supposedly he likes to fish. So
I would not picture that from.
I definitely wouldn't picture it either, but I guess that's some of that Newport News, Virginia stuff, I guess, being from Virginia. I guess he likes being Southern, so.
Yeah, him and Mike Vick, because I know Mike Vick's from the same place as well.
Absolutely.
But for me, I did not see the ceremony. I just saw what was posted on the social media by the NBA. But it seemed good. Allen Iverson is one of my all-time favorite players. He's probably like the most fearless player I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. But 3 things stick out for me for AI. 2 of them kind of a bad thing. 1 of them good. The good is, other than I'd say 2007 LeBron James, these guys are the only 2 to single-handedly bring their team to a finals. And in single-handedly having the worst players around them, they were the 2 guys to come, the closest 2 to come to winning a championship single-handedly. Because in my mind, as far as I know, it's never been done. Yeah. I don't think you can say one guy went out there and put the team on his back and won a championship. Not even Jordan. Jordan had a great team around him that was built really well around him. Mm-hmm. LeBron has had Wade and Bosh and a team built around him in Miami. Even Kobe had Shaq. Kobe then had Pau and even Bynum and Ron Artest at the time for one of them too, and Lamar Odom. So I don't think, other than those 2, I don't even think another player single-handedly got his team that far into the playoffs. So that's kind of the good that speaks, and he played terrific in that 0-1 finals. It was just they were completely outmatched, especially they had no answer for Shaq down low. Just Shaq tore him up. But the other 2 is kind of going off that, is he never did get that ring, and I really think he deserved just 1. He needed 1, I think, really. I've been saying for a long time championships are overrated because it is a team aspect, and like in Allen Iverson's case, he was never really on a championship caliber team. But they do count for something. I think they shouldn't be the only thing, because a lot of people will say Jordan's the greatest solely because he has the 6 rings. But if you're going to go off that, then Bill Russell is the best, and that's kind of the only argument I hear. They're not the only thing that matters, but they are kind of, I'd say, the most important in a way. So it kind of does suck that he didn't get 1. And I really, just kind of at the end of his career, especially when he got traded to Detroit, when Detroit started to kind of fall off, I was like, no, AI, this is kind of your last chance for 1. I got so sad to see that. And I really feel his career, I don't want to say it wasn't validated without a championship, but it feels, when I think about Allen Iverson, it feels like it's just missing something because he doesn't have that one championship that he so desperately deserved and I think needed. And I think that's going to kind of, I don't want to say hurt his legacy, but like I said, it's just when I think about him, it's just missing something because he doesn't have that. And the other one is, actually, it's not really a bad thing or a good thing. It's kind of in between. Well, I guess it's more of a good thing. It is kind of like he did bring the Sixers back from the brink, and he kind of changed the culture of Philadelphia. So, yeah, I'd say that's definitely a good thing. He's kind of like a big icon in Philly. He might be the biggest one there out of any of them. And I just think, like, if you don't like Allen Iverson, really, I think you just kind of misjudge the guy. It's kind of like judging a book by its cover in a way. And a lot of people who don't like him stereotype him, and I've been following him pretty closely. I read his book, Only the Strong Survive, back from like 2002. And he's a guy who's been through a lot. Seems like he's a high character guy. And he plays the way I like to play. Maybe he shoots a little bit much for me, takes a couple bad shots, but just the heart he plays with. He's a team leader. He always seems like, I talk about that positive energy. He was never a big trash talker. I'm pretty sure he did trash talk, but he was a guy who was always pumping up his teammates, pumping up himself, and that's what I like to see, is a guy who plays with a high positive energy. That's my type of player, and that's why I love Allen Iverson.
I understand what you're saying, Adam, that Iverson probably did as much for the Sixers as Jordan did for the Bulls. I wouldn't say that, because just for the fact that the Sixers had multiple Hall of Famers and icons before AI, because they had Wilt, they had Dr. J, they had Moses, they had Chuck, Charles Barkley. But I'll say, as far as league wide, first of all, Iverson's the only trendsetter I feel like the league has had since Jordan. Like, I feel like if you look at like LeBron, his following, he has fans of his game, but he doesn't have like the same following. Like, Jordan to this day, shoes just sell everywhere. He has when you see Michael Jordan, it's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Allen Iverson, the same way, just from wearing the arm sleeves, the tattoos, the headbands, it's a whole different type of following. I feel like personally his impact is the biggest one that the league has seen, because he brought in something that really hadn't been seen before. Even players that were more like Jordan brought in, longer shorts in a way, but Iverson brought in baggy shorts. Then players start wearing baggy. Jordan, first All-Star game, he wore a jumpsuit, and that's what kind of why he had the little freeze-out moment his rookie year of the All-Star game. But then he started wearing suits. Iverson, as his popularity increased, unlike everybody before him, he didn't start going the corporate America route. He stayed true to who he was, which really is a big point that I respect him for. As far as favorite moments, my favorite game that he ever played was the game against the Lakers, game 1 of the finals, when he dropped 48. Like I always say, I have that game on DVD, and it's on purpose that they didn't put the other 4 games on the DVD, because those games don't matter.
You stole mine, because it's not even just that game. Yeah. What always sticks out with me with Allen Iverson is the shot. Like, my favorite picture in NBA history, he steps over Tyronn Lue after I think he hit like the dagger to put him up by like 4 or 8 points in overtime, and he steps right over him, right in front of the Lakers bench who was yelling at him. Yeah. And that's kind of what sticks out for me when you talk Allen Iverson. That's my favorite moment.
And no, I'm gonna keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have some more. I
thought you were done. Okay.
No. Like I said, that's probably my favorite AI game. I feel like kind of in a way, Allen Iverson is underappreciated, and I'm gonna say it for this reason. When we look at Iverson, 11-time All-Star, 4-time scoring champ, 3 times led the league in steals, 3 times first team All-NBA. And he has a league MVP. But when you think of him, it's kind of like we don't put him, and I'm not saying people around him, because sometimes I feel like even myself, and y'all know I love AI, I feel like just as a whole, he gets underappreciated. And I think because more so people look at how he dressed, and they look at, the attitude and how he went out the league, and they don't look at what he actually did. He had an MVP before Kobe ever had one, and they came in the league at the same time. Shaq only has 1 MVP. AI has 1. Like we look at these players that's so much higher than Allen Iverson, when a lot of these accomplishments he got before they got them. Now, of course, they lost to the Lakers, but the Lakers had 2 top 10 players of all time on that team, and they still should have won that series. I'm not gonna get into all that, but I don't watch them games, and they should have won that series. I don't care what nobody say. That's the Kemba Mutombo's weak fault. Be a defensive player of the year, and he let Shaq light him up. But whatever. Just as a whole, I feel like I said, I feel like he's kind of underappreciated. But I'm happy that, like I said, that he got this recognition. I saw that he can it'll be his Hall of Fame ceremony like 2018. So that'll be like the next time he speaks. You talked about his trash talking and probably being a positive energy dude. I think more people look at him the other way. They probably feel like he was negative.
I think they just stereotype.
Yeah,
that's why,
they do for
because
some
I actually
points.
watched him, and it all seemed like he was pumping himself and his teammates up.
Well, he always did. I think pump himself, but I just saw recently because Larry Brown coaches at SMU. I'm sure like we all know that. And AI came down and visited, and some of the players asked Allen Iverson who's the best player to play all time, and he said I am. And if I didn't feel that way, there's no way that somebody at my size could have did what I did. So I mean, a lot of that confidence. A lot of that, like I took a lot of from Allen Iverson, and I put that like into myself, kind of like building a robot. You like take like character traits from people. Like I always say, after my parents, I learned more about just life in general from Allen Iverson than just anybody else. That's why I look at him. That's why I always say that's a family member to me. That's blood. Like it's deeper than basketball. So I'm really happy. Like I can't even put it all into words. That's why I done repeated myself like 4 times like an idiot on this mic. So now I'm just gonna shut up and you go ahead, Adam.
I'll take a look at kind of like, of course he did great things in the NBA, but recently a 30 for 30, I love those things.
Oh yeah,
ESPN.
absolutely.
They've come up with this new one, this Requiem for the Big East.
No,
I love the Big East. I mean, I was all for it. I hated it when they broke up.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
And you could make a case for Allen Iverson doing so much for that league under John Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
That Georgetown team with him and Ewing in those couple of years just had so much swagger, and that's what Allen brought. He had that swagger. He was going to take that big shot. He didn't shy away from the moment. He didn't shy away from the spotlight. And that's what you kind of see with the stars nowadays. They don't want all this negative press about them or them getting their image hurt, but Allen didn't like Stern back then, and he didn't care. I mean, he challenged him every time. And Stern probably wanted to kick him out of the league, but he knew his league wouldn't have been as good without Allen Iverson.
Yeah, and it's the image thing hurts because he'll be known more for people that don't have a great knowledge of the practice.
Yeah.
I think especially we're looking at our generation because
Yeah.
he kind of we came in late to the Allen Iverson era.
Yeah,
I think.
and that's when I've never been a big NBA fan in like the mid '90s with Jordan, seeing Allen Iverson. I didn't when he did that practice thing. I was going like he sounds so stupid, but then when you watch the game, you see something different, and it's sad that people will know him for that. That's why we talked about it last week. The guy that wrote a paper because he didn't know who Frank Robinson was. Showalter. People are just going to know him from baggy clothes, and the practice scene because that's what YouTube. I don't know how many views that video has on YouTube.
It's got a couple million. I think.
But something that's probably smart and bad in the sense is he is bankrupt right now, right?
Supposedly. Either way, I don't know if he has money problems.
He has a contract coming up. His shoe was Reebok.
Yeah.
I heard on SportsCenter, if I can remember right, that when he turns 50, he gets like $20 million from Reebok.
Really?
He set it up on his last shoe contract.
Not just Reebok, just as a whole. Somebody put like money aside for him that he can't touch.
That he gets like a, and that's sad. It makes him smart, but it also is sad that you see him with the troubles he has right now financially.
Yeah.
But he has that money. But it's sad to see players like that he's going to have to go through that for a little bit. And there's a reason why he waited to retire because he did not want Stern at his farewell.
I don't even think it's that. I think he still wanted to play. I think one of us in here said, I forgot who it was, that said that Stern wanted to kick him out the league. Oh, okay, it was you, Adam. I feel like Stern did kick him out. And the thing is, we waited until his numbers went down because Stern didn't really like him. Now, he said he's had some interviews, and I feel like time heals all wounds kind of in a sense because now when you look back at it, they probably don't really have any problems. But you look at when Iverson's popularity was through the roof, it was fighting against what Stern thought the league should be. And when Iverson's production started going down, it's like, okay, it's a chance we can get this guy out of here. And so, because I mean, there's no common sense way you tell me that there's 30 NBA teams and not one team picks him up after he was done in Philly.
The Knicks would pick him up in a heartbeat right now.
Yeah, I mean, they had a chance back then, but they didn't do it. So, I mean, and you know there's GMs out there who, whether they're smart or dumb, they'll get him massive money just because he could fill up, just the stands. So, I mean, I feel like Stern definitely played a role in that. Money problems is part of his own idiotic fault because he took care of everybody that he grew up with, which is dumb on him. But, yeah, that's really – I want to talk about the practice thing real quick. The practice interview – I understand why people, like you said, when you first see it, be like, why are you, like, practice is important, but people see.
I think he was making a point, but they were making it was a joke because they had the practice counter in the bottom.
I just think he said it wrong. He shouldn't have repeated himself so many times.
This is the thing that I see commonly that people fail to understand. His problem wasn't with practice. The press conference was about was he going to come back next year because they had just lost in the playoffs to the Celtics. This is the year after they lost in the year after the finals. So this 2002, they lost to the Celtics in the first round, and there was talks that he might not come back, that he might get traded. So he had a meeting before with the GM Billy King and Coach Larry Brown, and they told him he was going to come back. Now, Larry Brown in the past has said that he doesn't go to practice, which, I mean, they kind of knew because he was going to get traded the year before they made the finals. Like that offseason, they had a deal done with the Pistons already, and Matt Geiger had backed out, and then they made the finals that year. So the press conference, he's calling to say he's going to come back. The reporters start asking him about practice. His problem wasn't with practice. He kept saying it because he didn't understand. Well, I'm not going to say he didn't understand, but he had a problem with why are we having a press conference about practice? That's why he kept saying not the game. We're not talking about that we just lost in the playoffs. We're talking about practice in a press conference. So it wasn't that he was idiotic to the fact that practice isn't important. He was trying to figure out why we having a press conference about practice when we're supposed to be talking about something that's more important, that I'm still going to be in Philadelphia. And I see that people don't really put those two together.
That's because they don't. When you watch the video, all you watch is his speech, and it's funny to watch. Like I honestly understand what you're saying. Like with the context, you have to take the context into account. But just watching it as a video, it is funny because of the way he said it. I just think that's what it is. He could have said it, I think, better, and that's why people will harp on it. But I've never judged him because of that. I fully understood where he was coming from, and that he made a point. I just don't think he said it in the best possible way, at least for me. But so. Before we hit anything more, we still got some negative Sixers talk to do. Let's go ahead and answer this question. Anthony Caldrone, that's at ACPro9, tweeted, do you think the Celtics will get rid of Rajon Rondo at the end of the season and start a complete rebuild? I know Rajon Rondo is your player. Anthony's your favorite guy, but honestly, I don't think they get rid of him. If they were going to get rid of him, I think they would have got rid of him at the trade deadline, honestly, and start now and possibly get some picks for this year's draft as well as next year's draft. And because they didn't deal him already, I see Rondo staying in Boston, and they're building a team around him. He's coming off of injury, still kind of, I don't want to say rehabbing it, but still getting back into the flow of things because he had an ACL tear, I believe. And so that's a big injury we saw from Derrick Rose that it takes a long time. But for all intensive purposes, he's shown that he can be healthy and can be a star player again, one of the best point guards in the league. So I don't think you just get rid of him to start an offseason and start from scratch when you do have that talent on your team. They should get a good draft pick this year because they are not very good. So you can add somebody like maybe a Jabari Parker, kind of like a wing-type player, kind of a big wing player like that who can slash to go complement Rondo, maybe get a pick and roll player to help him out, and then you can just go from there. So I don't see why they would trade him. If they were going to, I think they would have done it already.
I don't see it either. I thought the rebuilding process began when they got rid of their old players with Brooklyn, and that looks. I think that trade looks better in the sense for the Celtics right now because I was by my picks to who was going to be in the NBA Finals. It looks a lot better for the Celtics. And you bringing up Jabari Parker, him and Rajon Rondo, if they played together, would complement each other so much. I think they're rebuilding around Rajon Rondo.
Oh yeah,
especially with that young coach.
Brad Stevens,
I think, yeah, Brad Stevens.
Yeah.
I think Rajon needs just to kind of listen, and I know that's hard when you have a young coach. So they're going to butt heads, but hopefully they rebuild them. I don't think you can lose to Rajon Rondo, and you'd basically be probably worse than the Sixers if you tried to get rid of Rajon Rondo.
I definitely think that. I think if you're Rondo, you just kind of have to have trust in Danny Ainge, the GM. He brought Allen and Garnett and even Pierce to Boston, so he can build a team around you. And if he needs to trade to do that, if he needs to develop guys, he developed Rondo. So I have faith in him, and I think I just hope, like you said, he doesn't butt heads with Stevens, because he's a young college coach coming from a mid-major conference into an NBA setting, and that could be cause for concern, but I don't think he gets traded. I think he would have been traded actually when Doc Rivers was still the head coach, because I guess they had some problems kind of running the team back then. So yeah. I think he's going to stick around.
Well, first of all, talking about Danny Ainge, he only brought in Garnett and Allen. Pierce was drafted in '98. But I actually think, unlike the rest of y'all in here, I think he will be moved because he only has 1 year remaining on his deal after this year. And we know expiring contracts are big bargaining pieces in the NBA. I think this summer he'll probably be moved because he doesn't want to be part of rebuilding because he's used to being in a winning situation. The coach situation, I don't really think he has, like, of course we're not in the locker room, but I don't really think he has too much of a respect for Brad Stevens. That whole thing with him not traveling with the team when he decided to stay back for his birthday party. And I really think it was close. It seemed like that he was going to get traded to Houston, like during the trade deadline. But I feel like with the summer, you have more time. You know, you're not in a rush to make a deal. Danny Ainge has always seemed to be a guy who, it's like he seems to know when the player's time runs out. Like, because they still could have kept Garnett and Pierce for another year. He was like, I'm not really with that. So it seems like he knows, when to make the proper deal. I feel like Rondo, he's 28 right now, 1 year remaining on the deal. I feel like he's going to end up leaving. But the thing is it's kind of hard to say that because where is he going to go? Like, a lot of talk has been New York. I don't know. That's not going to happen because there's no reason I see Carmelo staying there. So I don't know. And if they don't move him this summer, then this is what I feel like is going to happen. He either has to commit to an extension this summer or they have to move him because they can't let him walk into free agency next year because then they might lose him for nothing. So you could take a risk with, if you get Jabari Parker and see how it works out. But if it doesn't work out, then, you lose a point guard and you're back to square one. So,
well, isn't it worth a shot to look at that because he is kind of an exceptional talent? So because they still have that 1 year, and to say they get a Jabari Parker, you can at least see if it works. And if it does work, you can go from there. If not, then trade him by, the trade deadline.
I guess you could do that. But personally, I don't feel like you could build around Rajon Rondo to begin with.
Okay.
So I feel like he's a nice complimentary piece, but as him being the best player on the team, I haven't seen him do anything that makes me think you could build around him. So
if they get rid of him, before they say they're not gonna, if they get rid of him this year, where do you go in the draft? Do you go with a Jabari Parker, or do you?
I think you still
somebody you can build. Do you need somebody in this draft that you can build around?
Or
you're going to be.
I think you do.
Are you going to be in a situation of the Bobcats and you're going to have top 5 picks and they're not going to do anything?
Well, with the weak Eastern Conference, the Bobcats in the playoffs right now. So, I think that you got to go with Jabari. None of these guys are short things in the draft anyway. So I feel like if you get the number 1 pick, you have to go with him regardless, no matter what team it is. Because who has the worst record right now? Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So I feel like if Milwaukee,
they have the lottery, which
but that would be the same. Oh, you saying if they trade him for an absolute pick already?
If they decide that Rajon Rondo is not the future, you said by your thing, you said either they're not going to re-sign him, or they're going to sign an extension. If he doesn't sign an extension, what route do they go?
Oh, you got to move him there. I think you have to because if he's not going to sign an extension, then
how do you go? Do you try to trade him for a solid piece to build around?
Oh no, you got to trade him for young talent because I think you trade for a solid piece.
First round pick.
Yeah, first round pick or a young player that like I mean Houston. I think they wanted Chandler Parsons, so I see why Houston didn't do that deal because that would be stupid for them. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of hard because you don't really know what team he could go to. A lot of the talk, like I said, was New York, and the only player in New York is trying to give up. It's either Shumpert, and I don't really know how that works out. And then that relies on if Carmelo's gonna stay. So I think it might really depend on free agency this year if they move him. Because if Carmelo does leave, which it seems like he might do, but they lost 7 in a row in New York. Rondo might just stay around in Boston, but I mean it's kind of hard to tell. I just feel like just from past experiences, along with the attitude problem he seemed to have, that's why I feel like they're going to get rid of him.
Yeah, I think it'll take, for me, if he does move, it'll be Rondo wanting out because I don't see Danny Ainge wanting to move him, and I think the organization likes him and his skill set, and I think they've said that this is our guy from the moves they have made, not dealing Rondo this past offseason. Because I just think if the Celtics would have wanted to get rid of him, it would have been done already. They would have probably dealt him along with Garnett and Pierce and not Allen. Allen left the year before, but they would have kind of dealt him along with them so they could start the rebuilding sooner rather than later. But yeah, I just think it'll take Rondo wanting out, which I don't know if he does. I don't know what's going through his head. He's always had attitude issues, so I don't know if this is him just being Rondo or him signaling that he wants out. It's why I don't like the guy. But I don't think the Celtics will. I don't see what's in it for them. Like you said, where is he going to go? There's really no deal that just fits for him. I think you have a better case trying to get rid of, well, now it's kind of gone, but you had a better case trying to get rid of Carmelo Anthony in New York than I think you do Rondo in Boston. So hopefully that answered your question, Anthony. It's been a while since we heard from you, but it's good to have you listening again and back on the show. So moving on to our next topic we had, going back to the Sixers this time, very, very bad. The 76ers have lost, 15 straight?
Mm-hmm.
After starting out the season on fire with Michael Carter-Williams, of course, beating the Heat was their big claim, and everybody was riding with the Sixers to start the year. That fire was quickly squelched at the beginning of the year. So now they sit at 15 losses in a row. They still have a better record than Milwaukee, at least.
Do.
So we're not talking about Milwaukee, who has Nate Walters. I believe he's starting for them now for the Bucks. Nate Walters from South Dakota State is now starting in Milwaukee. But what do you guys think needs to happen for the Sixers to turn this around? Maybe not this year. I think it's kind of late. Granted, the East is pretty bad, but that said, do you think they can turn it around this year? And if they can, what do they need to do? Or just go ahead and look for next year? Because they do have a lot of young talent.
Yeah, look for next year. Noel will be back hopefully next year. Have another big draft pick. But I think you need a older player there. And they don't have that. Like I said, experience helps. And if you don't have that central person, I don't know who you build around. And on that team, because Michael Carter-Williams is not going to be that. Noel's not going to be that because he hasn't played a game yet this whole first year. They got rid of Iguodala. I don't even know who their senior player is on there.
I think Thaddeus Young.
Yeah, if Thaddeus Young is who you're going to build around, I think you have a problem.
So I think it's a 2-year process. This is a wash. I think it's going to be a rough two off seasons. I think it's going to be 2-3 years, and maybe even more. I don't know where they go. I don't know if they can bring a talent to them. In free agency, probably not. But if some player like I would say, and he's going to disagree with me with this. If a player kind of like Howard, if somebody like that is willing to, and this is what's hard, is willing to make a commitment that goes like, right, I'm going to go here, and you know what? My team is going to suck for a couple years. But if I can withstand that and have the shoulders to take that, the young players that can come up will be good in 3-4 years. But nobody has that character.
Nobody's ever going to do that.
No, nobody has character like that anymore. And that's what I don't like about the NBA, is that some players that could show good character doesn't. And like we were talking about with Rajon Rondo, is not that person. He could be a great player, but he wants to butt heads all the time. And don't like that. Like I said, if somebody would go to Philadelphia and realize that they're going to suck for 2 years and then the players are going to come up and help them, I think that's their only hope right now.
I don't think that that's good character. I think that that's a lack of common sense. Why would a good player go to a bad team and you know they're going to suck? The point of all pro sports is to win. So why would you go? Like I don't think that's character.
In the hopes of winning.
That's
Bynum could have been that person, but he butted heads. And
I thought we said good players. My fault. I thought we said good players.
Well, he could have helped out. He could
have, but I mean,
but he didn't care.
But you said like Howard. So what you're saying is like a free agent. So
yeah.
I don't know any free agent. You said they don't do that anymore. I've never heard of a free agent.
I would love to see that. I would love to see
That's never gonna happen. I'll tell you right now. It's never gonna happen because there's no player who wants to lose. Like I don't see a player, and we say Howard, so that's what, top 10, possibly number 1 in your position, going to a weak team, and you know they're gonna suck for 2 to 3 years. Nobody wants to be through that. The Sixers, Michael Carter Williams, they probably feel like that's who they can build around. I don't like him, but he's had a very good year, probably rookie of the year. I mean, good for him. This year, it's over. They can't, turn that around. Draft picks is really what they're doing. They seem to be tanking because they traded all their guys, Evan Turner, Spencer Hall. So they're trying to lose and get draft picks, which I'm not a fan of tanking, but I guess you got to do what you got to do.
Brought out Granger, right?
Yeah, brought out Granger, which I knew they were going to do. Because like I'm saying, no good player or a player who has a history of being good wants to be, somewhere like that. My dad is a Sixer fan, and I'm sorry.
It would
for
be
him.
like, I think your example would be like, just to go off it, like LeBron and Durant, who had to build their teams up. They started bad, and now they're going to be like LeBron this offseason going to Philadelphia, like, oh, I want to do this again. I want to start over all again. Or Durant when his contract's up, going like
that would be
to
crazy.
Sacramento or something like that. Like, oh, I want to do this all over again. Now I just got to the top, and now I want to start all over.
Yeah,
again. If you have a set number of years in your career, I think once you get to the top, you cannot leave the top. It all means you can't do that. It's too hard. It takes too long to get back there.
The last thing I would say about the Sixers is this: their coach Brett Brown said, "I don't think that our team is going to win again this year." So when your coach says that, then I feel like that's the end of the road right there.
I saw that today, and that kind of bothers me because I like the fact that like he's trying to motivate the team a little bit with negative, constructive criticism is the term I'm looking for, but
it's not really constructive.
No, it's really not, and especially with the young team. I mean, I think it would be more effective saying that with a veteran team that's kind of scuffling, especially maybe like a fringe team that might be a 7 seed in the playoffs or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with a young team and you're trying to get those guys going in their careers, they need that positive energy.
Yeah.
And they're not generating it with their play. And I just think if they're trying to listen to their coach, they're just going to look at him in the locker room now and say, well, this guy doesn't even think we're going to win, so why should we care? It's really bad. I think, Ryan, you saying 2 years they're going to be bad, I think it's 5 minimum. I mean, and I have faith, though, that the 76ers are a proud franchise. I think they will eventually get back to being one of the better teams, but it's going to take time, and I don't see that time being anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody in this draft class who will be a catalyst to bring them back from the depths, basically. It's not a very strong... I think it's an overrated draft class at that much.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it could be 2 years. We don't know what we're going to get next year. We also don't know if you're going to find a gem, a diamond in the rough. But I think 2 years isn't bad to say that, but it's going to be multi-years, definitely. I think you're right about that. It's not going to be, we'll tank this year, get a good pick, and then we'll start from there. I think it's definitely a multi-year process. It'll take either a diamond in the rough or a blockbuster trade if they trade away all their picks for some superstar or something like that. It'll take one of those to happen, and I think, obviously, the more realistic one is the multi-year rebuilding process. So Philly fans have it kind of rough, I think, now. They just saw Allen Iverson go, which is kind of, I think it's fitting they retired his jersey now because it's kind of like, bye-bye to our glory days, at least for now, because we're going to lose for a long time. Ever since Iverson left back in, what was it, 07 when he joined?
Yeah, December 06.
Ever since that happened, they really haven't had anywhere to like really plant their flag, anywhere to get their. They've just been spinning their wheels. Really, they haven't gotten any traction because they haven't had that guy. I guess they had Iguodala, but it's been proven he's more of your Dwayne Wade role, kind of in a way, like a beta dog. Well, yeah, now he's getting up there, but I think even when he was
at his best.
Yeah. I think even then he wasn't the guy who's going to carry your team night in, night out. I think he was the complimentary player. As we saw, I thought he played really well when Allen Iverson was there before those two started to butt heads a little bit at AI his last days. But so ever since Allen Iverson left in his prime, they've kind of haven't had much to go off of, and it's been what now, like
almost 10 years. It's 2014. It's
been a decade of, I think, just mediocrity for the 76ers, and now it's not even mediocrity anymore. So
yes, it's just
we'll just have to see. But I think that's all we got for basketball. Any final thoughts before we head into a one week break, basically?
No, the West is going to be the West, and the East is going to be the East.
My only thought is KD versus LeBron, man. That's my only thought. And James Harden in the background. That's it.
I like that you brought up the KD LeBron thing. Everybody seems to have their opinion. I'll call it 50-50 right now.
I couldn't agree with you anymore, Adam. I may be a LeBron guy, but I can't choose right now. For me, it's split 50-50. I have to see the rest of the season and even the playoffs, I think, before I can make a decision, because these two guys have been on another level. It's a reason. I know everybody's complaining, especially my roommate has been complaining all he sees on SportsCenter's LeBron or Durant. Well, there's a reason for that, because these two are on another level.
Yes, they are.
Coming on the other side of this break, we've got about 20 minutes left in the show. If that, we're going to do what I've been waiting for. The biggest story from the past couple days has been the NHL trade deadline. It's been one of the most epic trade deadlines I can remember, so we got a lot to talk about. I know Ryan's got a lot to say about his Blues, because if there was a winner, it might have been St. Louis. So that's all coming up next right here on The Dog. It's C4 Sports.
Just now, another kid dropped out of school. There's one every 20 seconds. Over 200 kids an hour. That adds up to nearly 5,000 kids every school day.
If we do nothing, 3.5 million kids won't receive a diploma over the next 4 years. But there is someone who can change that. And that someone is you. United Way knows that kids who have a caring adult in their life are more likely to make it. So make a pledge. Tutor a child who needs help. Mentor a kid who needs someone on their side. Volunteer to read to children. Because the path to success or failure starts long before graduation day. And the difference between a graduate and a dropout could be you. Take the pledge to volunteer now at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back to C4 Sports right here on 88.3 The Dog. To end our show, we got some NHL trade deadline talk. We can also talk a little, I guess, power rankings coming out of the Olympic break. But there's been some huge stories in the NHL regarding this trade deadline. A lot of blockbuster deals. The biggest ones have been including Ryan's Blues. They moved Yaroslav Halak to Buffalo for Ryan Miller, the American legend goaltender. Halak actually got traded again today from Buffalo to Washington. Thomas Vanek, who was a longtime Buffalo Sabre, got moved from the Islanders to Montreal for a second-round pick and prospect, Sebastian Colbury. One of my favorite fantasy players when it comes to hockey is Marian Gaborik. He moved from Columbus to the Kings, where he was in Columbus from that Rick Nash trade about a year ago. For Matt Fratt, no idea who that is, or Matt Fratton, and a second/third round pick. What else? The big one, the biggest out of all of them, is Martin St. Louis moved from Tampa Bay to the Rangers for Ryan Callahan and a first and second round pick. That second round pick can be a first round pick should the Rangers make the conference finals. And then the other big one is, I guess if you can call it that, Luongo moves from Vancouver to Florida for Jacob Markstrom. The longtime Canucks legend was shocked to hear he had been moved from Vancouver. He returns to Florida, where I believe he started his career as a Panther for a few years before signing with the Canucks, almost, I think, 10 years ago. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with your thoughts. Ryan, I'll let you go first as the resident Blues fan. What are your thoughts, not just for the Blues, but as the trade deadline as a whole?
As a trade deadline as a whole, I liked it. There's a couple surprise ones that I saw. I'm happy for my Blues to pick up Ryan Miller. Sad to see Halak go and Chris Stewart. I feel sorry for Chris Stewart staying in Buffalo, but I also like Halak being traded to Washington. I actually see that as a very good pickup for Washington. I think that makes Washington a better team. The one that surprised me was the St. Louis and Callahan, because a couple days ago they were talking about New York might give him a 6-year contract, and then I woke up this afternoon to breaking news that he was traded, and I was going like, oh, so I guess that contract just went. So I guess the big thing is to see if Tampa Bay will sign him for an extension. I think that's going to be the big news for that, but I am happy that Ryan Miller is a Blues. He just needs to get that white mask fixed.
You don't like that with just the logo?
I like it, but I like seeing the patterns on there.
Yeah.
And when I was saying with Halak, I think Washington could contend for
Ovechkin's having a good year too. He might win MVP again.
An Eastern Conference final game appearance against Pittsburgh, which would just make the East. Would make that competitive if you could put those two.
Those two teams don't like each other. That'd be good television right there.
The reason why I think Halak helps is because they have the Washington has the scoring. They just can't. They don't have a goalie that can stop goals because they were playing Philadelphia and they were up big this weekend because they were on NBC and I watched some of it and they lost because they gave up 2 straight goals and they gave up 4 or 5 goals. Halak's not going to do that. It's going to take a couple. It's going to take a couple games to them to realize. But I think Halak helps out the Washington Capitals, and I'm going to say right now, watch out for the Capitals in the postseason. Right now,
I think you are absolutely dead on with that because I think the East is wide open as far as I'm concerned. I think everybody was kind of writing in, and I think me too. I was writing in Pittsburgh in the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
But the Canadians made a move with Vanek today. And then I really like what Washington did because, honestly, I think they've got the material to just outscore teams, especially in the East. I mean, you count on Ovechkin getting a goal and Backstrom getting a goal.
and Opik or
Brooks Orpik.
Brooks Orpik.
Yeah. He's in. I think he's in Colorado because I think I saw him playing for them last night in the Blackhawks game.
Okay.
So he got traded?
He must have.
I'm thinking of a different player. I'll come back to him.
It might. I'm pretty sure it was him. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But I think Washington's a really dangerous team, and especially with the way Ovechkin's playing this year, you can count them out as far as I'm concerned. As a Blackhawks fan, it worries me what the Blues did because they definitely got better. And they're already having a great season. And now they kind of get that goaltender, that old goaltender that can provide some leadership. The Blues are young. I think people fail to recognize that because Steen's young. Halak was young. But they've got that veteran in there now. They can capture the locker room and maybe send a young team that people maybe thought was 2 years away. They're here right now, and as a Hawks fan, I'm concerned, especially with the California teams too. Can't count them
I was
out.
going to say a team that nobody's talking about, but I think did really well is the Kings. But as a Hawks fan, I'm a little concerned, mainly because we didn't do anything. I still think we need goaltending. I really do. I'm not sold on Crawford. There was another game last night that we lost to Colorado. We should have won that game. He had 1 goal. There wasn't much he could do, but there were 2 goals. They just went 5-hole on him both times. One of them was a misdirection, a deflection off a stick. But still, if you close down the 5-hole, that doesn't go in. And the other one, the guy had no angle, and he just shot it at him, and he let it go between the legs. I know, excuse me. I know he had a great playoff last year, but the guy, his numbers aren't great, and he's been so inconsistent. He'll play great for 2 games in a row, then have 3 straight terrible games. He only faced, I think, like 19 shots last night, gave up 3 goals. 2 of which were soft. I'm not a Corey Crawford fan at all. I do like Antti Ranta a lot. I think he might be our guy for the future, but he's still young. This is his first season in America, let alone in the NHL. So I think other than that, the Blackhawks should be the best team. But the goaltending, if there's anything that can win you a playoff series, it's hot goaltending. That was proven in 2012 with the Kings and Jonathan Quick. But I think the Blues definitely came out on top. I like the Ryan Miller move. Granted, he's a little old and hasn't had a couple not up to his caliber seasons, but I mean the guy's still a legend. He's still one of the best in the game. You can't do much better than Ryan Miller. I think other teams too that people aren't talking about are Minnesota did really well. They got Ilya Bryzgalov, who I'm a fan of. They were able to pick him up, and the Kings, they added one of my favorite players, one of my favorite goal scorers, Marian Gaborik, who had been wasting away for about a year in Columbus. He took Rick Nash's place in purgatory with the Blue Jackets, where Rick Nash was a terrific player just wasting his talents in Columbus. And now Gaborik was doing that ever since they swapped places from New York to Columbus. Now he's in L.A. That could be a great team because they have Jonathan Quick, who might be the best goalie in the NHL when healthy. And now to help, Anze Kopitar needs some help because Dustin Brown is a good player, but he's not a prolific goal scorer. Marian Gaborik is. He can, to use a basketball term, get straight buckets some games with some of the shots he can pull off. So him and Kopitar, I hope they're on the same line in L.A. because that could be a lot of fun to watch. And speaking of the St. Louis trade, Darius, I'm giving you a hockey shout-out right here. He was actually the one who brought it to my attention that why St. Louis was traded was because he had a problem with it. Let's let Darius get in on this hockey talk, actually. I'm not going to take the glory from you with this.
You're talking hockey?
No, not really. I've heard from somebody else, then I read and found out on my own. Then I just passed it on to those who know more than I do.
Knowledge
is that us at C4 Sports here? We just aim to make everybody complete. So that's what we're trying to do. All right, what's the guy's name?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Even though his name is spelled St. Louis, which makes me feel like he should be playing in St. Louis. But anyway, he was traded because the general manager of his team is the head GM for Team Canada. And he was snubbed off of Team Canada at first. And so he felt, a certain kind of way. He felt disrespected, so he asked for a trade. Now, y'all watching the Olympics, y'all know that he played on Canada eventually. I take it, they said he was
replaced his teammate, Steven Stamkos, his teammate.
Right. And even though they won the goal, that didn't heal the wound. So he had a problem with it. He felt disrespected, so he asked for a trade. He had a no-trade clause, and he said New York was the only place he wanted to go. And you see, that's where he ended up.
Yeah, the Rangers now are a big force in the East. I had them in the Stanley Cup final last year.
See them.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I still think this, I guess, helps them, but they have so much talent. And I think Henrik Lundqvist, he was my Vezina winner for last year. I think he won. I'm not sure if he won it last year, but I thought he should have at least.
I think the Blues goalies, Elliott and Halak.
Well, they might have won the best save percentage.
Yeah, Elliott and Halak, I think, both won it.
They both won it. I thought the Vez. Okay. Yeah, I'll look that up in a second. But I thought Lundqvist should have won the Vezina last year for best goalie, and I think this definitely makes them a better team because it adds them some offense. But I don't like that they had to give up Ryan Callahan for it. And everybody's saying winner New York, loser Tampa Bay. I think this actually helps Tampa Bay because they get possibly 2 first-round draft picks as well as Ryan Callahan, who's a young guy. He's much younger than St. Louis. He's a guy you can build around. He's a high-character guy. He played for Team USA in the Olympics. I'm a big fan of Callahan. And when I saw that they had to give up Callahan for St. Louis, it's like, yeah, you're getting a top talent. I think the NHL's leading goal scorer from last year, but he's almost at the end of his career, honestly. You don't know how long you're going to have him for. Where Ryan Callahan, as you said, Ryan, you thought he was going to sign a 6-year deal with New York. This is a guy you can build around and have a future around. St. Louis is win now, and that's pretty much it. And I'm not a fan of that. Just win now. I like building for the future, too.
Are getting better.
Yeah.
Because the Panthers won in early 2000s, didn't they?
No, it was the Tampa Bay Lightning won in 2004.
I think Florida Panthers made it to a conference final.
They might have made it far, but they have not won a Stanley Cup.
All right, I forget which team down there, but I think it looks very, very good for Tampa Bay, especially with the young talent.
I think they're maybe not this year, but I think their future looks bright because those 2 first-round draft picks, if not a first and a second round, it's hard to beat that.
I definitely think that. My only concern down in Tampa would be, how does Stamkos react to San Luis being traded? Mm-hmm. Because I know they had a really good relationship, and it's kind of a dream every team wants. It's that old veteran that kind of tutors that new young hotshot into the game. And I think San Luis did that great with Stamkos. So I guess my only concern would be that. Other than that, not a whole lot. I mean, I still think the Blues are kind of the team to beat in the West right now. Due to that suspect goaltending with the Blackhawks.
They just can't. They can't win out on the West Coast.
Right.
So.
Well, we just looked it up right now, and it was Sergei Bobrovsky who won Vezina. I think what you're thinking about is a separate trophy. I don't know what it's called, but it's given to the team that has the lowest goals against the average. It's to the goalie tandem that gives that out. That's what I thought you were talking about because you said 2.
Yeah.
But I don't know the name of the trophy, but that must have been what they won.
I think my last point is I think the move, you said, Matt, that they needed to maybe upgrade goaltending. Who is it? Jeez. Team on the West. Dallas. Dallas got Tim Thomas today.
They did, yeah.
And older guy, but maybe something he's kind of washed up. I haven't seen a lot of him play, but I still think he can play. He's got that old veteran look, and he really wants to win another Stanley Cup. He was great for Boston when they won it. I think that's a guy who could have even, if he was the backup, he could have tutored Crawford.
Yeah.
In Chicago.
Yeah, I think that could have helped him a lot. Shout out to Darius though, coming through with the hockey thing. This is one step at a time. We're turning him into a hockey fan. He says no, but we will turn him. We will. It was actually interesting because what was it? The move that didn't happen. Ryan Kessler. Everybody thought he was going to be traded. He was on the block. Everybody's saying he's going. Where is he going? It's not if he's going. It's going to be where. He's still in Vancouver.
And Brodeur still in New Jersey because they kind of had like a little send-off.
Well, who's going to take Brodeur?
I don't know. I had no idea who was going to take Brodeur, but they were saying that they were that they played him, and they were surprised that he even played last night because they thought he was going to be shipped off. But they were in New Jersey, and I think they had a little send-off. They did a little montage between one of the intermissions, like saying that he's not going to be around here after tonight. But that surprises me. I don't know where he was going to go anyway. I mean, he's older. I don't see too many more years for Brodeur left in the NHL, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, how old is Brodeur?
I think he's in his 40s by now.
If not,
for my money, though, he is the best goalie of all time, I think. But even the best got to stop at some point, and it's getting close for him. I'm surprised he hasn't stopped after that Stanley Cup Finals loss in 2012 to L.A. I'm a little surprised he's still going because I haven't seen him play in a long time. I saw him play the other night, as you said, that send-off game. I was like, Brodeur's still playing? I was like, really? I didn't hear him retire. I thought I would have heard him retire, but I didn't know he was still playing. I haven't seen him play a game for the Devils since that Stanley Cup Finals appearance.
Yeah, because I don't even think he played in the Stadium Series.
No,
game.
I don't think he did.
He didn't.
No, so that's even.
He really hasn't played consistently since their Finals loss.
I think this whole with the Canucks hanging on to Kessler, I think that's kind of Vancouver saying we're going to stay relevant to their fan base. They still have a really loyal fan base up in Vancouver, and with Kessler gone, the fans and probably the team, the GM, don't want to see that team kind of start over per se. They've got some pieces, but not enough to win a championship this year, but enough to kind of make it in and maybe spring an upset in the first round.
So I guess before we're coming up to the end of our show, the last questions is, do you think a Canadian team has a shot at ending the drought? They have not won a Stanley Cup since the year I was born, 1993. So Lord Stanley has spent the past 21 years here in the States. Do you think a Canadian team can win it? Because I know a lot of people are talking up Montreal right now. The Flames, they were one of the losers, I think, from the trade deadline. But Montreal is kind of flying under the radar. Speaking of the Vezina, Carey Price might be the favorite right now. He's been a guy along with his team who's gone under the radar. I think he had a coming out party winning the gold in the Olympics, but he has terrific numbers this year up in Montreal. He might take the Vezina. So do you think a Canadian team can end it?
Where are the Canadian... I don't pay attention to the Eastern the Eastern Conference. I don't even know where they're ranked at right now.
I think they're fourth. I'll look it up just real quick. But yeah, I think they're fourth.
I always think that Toronto's going to do good each year.
Yeah.
And they just disappoint.
No, they're second. They're second in the East. Canadians are behind Boston.
And what is that, the Metropolitan or the?
Yeah, that's the here. I'll pull it
second?
up. Yeah, I believe so.
Maybe. I didn't realize they were doing that well this year. I was always thinking that Vancouver was going to be the one that would always end that drought a few years ago, but that didn't happen. I'm going to say it will come out of either Canadiens or Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto. Yeah.
Maybe not this year. Maybe this year if Canadiens keep on going pretty well, but I'm going to say either Toronto or the Canadiens in a couple of years.
I'll correct myself. They're fourth, actually. They're fourth.
As an American, I would love to see a Canadian team
really?
win. Not now. Not
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
Wait till the Blues prime leaves them for a while. But it would be nice to maybe at least make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, because I can't even tell you last time.
It was Edmonton in 2007. Oh, wait, no, before that it was Vancouver in 2011, and then it was Edmonton in 2007 and Calgary in 2004 who lost to Tampa Bay.
So they haven't really had much.
Or no, Edmonton was 2006, Ottawa was 2007 who lost to the Ducks, and then it was Vancouver in 2011.
And I think and I would love to see some of these all-star Canadian players go back and play for one of their. I mean, like a Crosby or a Taze. I know you'd hate me saying that.
That's not okay.
To go back up to Canada for a little bit, or go to one of the Canadian teams.
I see there's no way. I don't think the Canadians can win, even though they added Bannock. But I think it's more likely that a California team will win than a Canadian team this year.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So I think with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off for the night because our time is just about up. Thank you, everybody, for listening. My name is Matt at LManMatt93.
And I'm Mason _IL Chief.
I am at Nobody Finer.
And I am at _Hawk_13.
So for C4 Sports, thank you, everybody, for listening. Keeping it right here on 88.3 The Dog for the best in urban music for the rest of the night. We will see you in 2 weeks.
Boom.